Hi, this is Mike from Jethro Data. I'm here to show you how to create instances and load data using Jethro Data Manager. So let's go to Jethro Data Manager. What that is a web-based control panel where you can do basic functions on top of Jethro server. So I can connect to servers, multiple servers if I have, and I can create instances and load data and then even do some management as far as how that data gets loaded. But let's just do some basic things that I would do if I was starting up my new Jethro server. So I'm going to create an instance. I have the ability to create an instance on Hadoop, HDFS. I can use NFS if I don't have Hadoop, and also a local file system for some really basic internal testing. And I'm just going to say yes and create a new demo called, actually, I'm going to call that demo, which is my demo instance. And that's going to take a couple seconds. And now it asks me whether I want to create that environment, and I say yes. Okay, now it's loading the HDFS instances. It's going to take another couple of seconds. And I will be finishing up the creation of that instance in a moment. So I have the ability to create a new instance as opposed to attaching to an existing one. This instance name is demo, and my caching path is something that I have already copied, with the exception of a backslash. So now I have home Jethro cache, and then I'll have the cache size something good for testing purposes like 10 gig. Now Jethro is going to get back to work again, creating any files and paths that have not been created yet, and create the demo. And that'll take another few minutes. Now, one thing that you're going to see me not do today is creating a semantic layer. And this is one of the interesting things about Jethro. We see our technology as more of a pass-through, a piece of middleware, as opposed to an endpoint of creating a large, heavy semantic layer. And as we get to Tableau, because I'll be demoing the connection to Jethro with Tableau, that semantic layer has already been created in the data connection. So that will take about a minute, and just give that one quick second. And okay, so the instance demo has been created. Now you can see I have that on my screen, and now I can go ahead with loading some data. I have some additional options as far as what kind of data I can load. I'm going to use local files because I have a CSV file I want to bring in, nice and easy to do. But I also have external tables, HDFS, and other Hive and Impala shells. So there's other options depending upon what your production needs are going to wind up needing. But let's get to the local file, which is a TPC DS data set. It's some sales demo data, just retail type of transactional data. I have it in my temp directory, so I just browse to it. And right now, what we're doing with our manager is just, or Jethro Manager is just finding that location and selecting the file. Jethro Manager is going to give me the ability to do a little preview, make sure I get the right file. I can look at all of the columns. One thing to notice is I don't have any header columns, unfortunately. That's just going to show up in a minute, but mainly what I need to do is set up my CSV type of parameters. So I want to make sure my nulls show up as nulls. I can choose my own delimiters, do whatever it takes to make sure that that CSV file comes in properly. Now for the next step, I need to figure out, do I need to make a table? Do I already have a table in my instance? Because you can create these things using a command line interface. So everything I'm doing now, you can have scripted. And I'm going to create a file, which would be, or I'm sorry, I'm going to create a table, which will be my table. And Here's where the lack of the header fields really comes to show. But what Jethro does is it just gives you field names, field 1 through n, depending upon how many columns you have. And I'm also going to load this in my def schema, my default schema. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a little pause and also show you an online timer, so at least you can see how long this is going to wind up taking. Where's my online stopwatch? And let's just get this started. And I'm going to go back to my Jethro Manager. And you can see that my job is started. When it's completed, I'm going to see what the duration is and also some other information, as far as what its status is. So I'm going to hit pause to bear you the 2 to 3 minutes of silence. All right, I'm back. So the duration was 150 seconds. My stopwatch is a little bit longer than that because it took me some time to get back to you guys. But at any rate, we loaded 10 million records in just under 3 minutes. Now, let's go to Tableau and let's take a look at that data and what the data connection experience is. I do have another video which goes into this in a little bit more depth, but what I'm going to do is create a DSN-less data connection. So I'm going to use the name of my Jethro server here. And looking back at my port, I'm going to go back to port 9113. And my instance will be the instance that I had placed over here, which is demo. Type in the demo and then put in my login, which by default is Jethro login ID and Jethro password. And let's test that. We see that that's successful, which is great news. Say OK, and we're going to sign in to this data source. So let's sign in, and now we're going to see the data connection experience. For those of you that are familiar with Tableau, it's very, very simple. I have my database, I have my schema, and then I'm going to see my table in just one moment. And this is really the heart of where the semantic layer is that we see is useful for Jethro and for what we wind up accelerating. So we can take tables, a single table, which is all I have available to me. And if I had more tables loaded in, I certainly could create multiple tables with star schemas and snowflakes, whatever kind of joins you would need to do, as well as other semantic layer type of things as far as joining fields. Now let's take a look at what we have is our dimensions and measures, and I'm just going to take a number of records so we can see how many records we imported, which was 10 million records. And I can take the records and I'm just going to use field 22, which is a date field, so I have a year for how many records I have per year. And now I can use Tableau like I normally do. So again, this was in under 10 minutes. I was able to create an instance in Jethro, load some data in, and be able to connect to it and get to work in Tableau, and again, in under 10 minutes. So thanks a lot for your time. Hope to see you soon. Take care.